A woman says she wants marriage, a family, and a real man. Then she finally meets exactly that. Polite, respectful, a true gentleman, and genuinely interested in commitment. But do you know what her first reaction was? Looking for flaws. What you're about to hear reveals a much bigger problem.
I went to a first date yesterday. He was not my type. But the reason I decided to give him a chance was because he was such a gentleman. Like, he literally speaks like he's in a movie. I'm not romanticizing him or anything like that, but I just realized how much of an effect gentlemanly manners actually have on me. So the first time he made me feel that way was when he messaged me on the app and said, "May I invite you to dinner so we can chat and get to know each other better?" I mean, this is the difference between a man who has had a couple more decades of experience and different upbringing versus millennial men who go, "Let's go grab a drink." And then I immediately told him that I'm happy to go for dinner, but I would like to be very transparent and let you know that I'm only dating for marriage. So if we're not aligned, that's totally okay. I just don't want to waste anybody's time. And he replied with a long message saying, "Oh, I appreciate the honesty. And may I know how many children you're looking to have?" And I said, "Well, I've always thought that I wanted 4, but I guess it's negotiable. I want to have at least 2, and also up to what my future husband thinks." And he then went on to explain that he is looking for marriage too, but he wouldn't rush into it. It's just that he takes great caution in making sure that he chooses the right person. And then he ends that message with asking me, "May I know what is your timeline, or when do you plan for marriage?" I was like, oh, unlike most men who probably just ghost me after getting that message, this guy is actually like taking interest in what I have to say and also responding in a very kind manner. Second brownie point. And I decided to send him a voice note, which I found more suitable to answer this question. And then he responded with a voice note. You know how guys hate voice notes? But this guy responded with a voice note. And I was like, he's matching my energy. Green flag. And after some back and forth, he asked me again for dinner. And this time I said yes. He proceeded to ask me what I like to eat, which days do I prefer to meet, which times are more convenient for me, and which area do I live in, so he can pick a place that is not too far away from me. Who does that anymore these days? I mean, wow, I can't believe dating has been so shit that I've been conditioned to think that consideration is luxury. So I replied telling him that I usually like to eat early before sundown and I have a liking for European and Japanese food. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna look for somewhere really nice and book it for the both of us, but it looks like he's really busy. I may not be able to make it like an early dinner. I'm really sorry. I don't want it to be inconvenient for you. Maybe we can make it on the weekend or next week." And at this point I was like, wow, this guy is like really showing patience, showing sincerity. And I was like, you know what? I'll be flexible too. So I offered him to say like I can do dinner at 8 o'clock. And this guy sent a car to my place, got a booking at an amazing restaurant that I've never been to, dropped me off at a dinner place. He was already there early on. He said he had to go up to just make sure the table setting and everything was ready and well done before he came down to get me, and then walked me up and even offered me his arm as we walked into the restaurant. This old school gentleman vibes, I can't. We had a really nice dinner, very civil. I'm not going to talk about how the date went. That's for another video. But at the end of the date, he was very mindful of the time and he says, "I'm really sorry this is late for you, but thanks for coming out." And then he booked me a car to send me home. And he even made sure that I got home safe, and he sent me a message right after thanking me for taking my time to have dinner with him, etc. And I was like, damn, like if I'm not treated like this all the time, like why do I even want to go on dates? Why do I even need a man in my life? Why do I need a man in my life that makes me feel like planning a date is inconvenient? That being a gentleman is inconvenient? Why? Like, what happened to millennials and Gen Zs and like just being charismatic and suave and attractive this way? Like, why haven't they learned anything from the previous generation? Like, why haven't they picked up these traits? Everyone thinks like casual is so cool, nonchalant is so cool. Me laying back as a man and not doing anything and playing punk is so cool. I'm like, no, no, literally. And this guy during the date, when I brought this up to him, I was like just showing appreciation, like, hey, I really appreciate that you arranged the whole thing. You were so thoughtful and considerate. It's really rare these days. And he literally said, yeah, young men these days who don't act like this don't know what they're missing out on. And I'm like, it's so right. Listen to him. These small gestures, which I mentioned in my previous viral video about like guys just putting in the effort, which has nothing to do with equality or whether a woman has the capabilities to open a door for herself or order a cab for herself. Let me repeat, it has nothing to do with whether a woman has the capabilities or physical ability to do these things. It has everything to do with how you see yourself as being a respectful, charismatic, charming, well-mannered man. Okay, this is a reflection of how and what you think of yourself as a healthy masculine, as a man. Then, why can't you do this for yourself? Why do you need another man to do? Shh. People who think this way, like, I can't help you. Whatever, I don't care. But for the guys who actually want to have a little edge, just a tiny little bit of edge, I'm telling you, this is like one of the easiest ways to impress a woman. And it's not even hard to do. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. And so for this guy who's not even my type, I'm like actually willing to go on a second date with him. I enjoy witnessing and being in the presence of a man who cares about how he shows up as a man. For the girls, never settle. Never settle for less. They're out there.
Honestly, I find it interesting how she tells the story herself and, without realizing it, exposes a very common problem today. She describes a man who is polite, patient, respectful, organized, and looking for marriage. He planned the date, thought about her comfort, and acted like a gentleman from beginning to end. Basically, the exact kind of man many women say they want. Yet right at the start, she makes sure to say, he's not my type. That alone says a lot about the modern mindset. The guy did everything right. He showed maturity, treated her with respect, something she herself admits is rare these days. And still, her first filter was his looks or some superficial idea of what her type is. It shows how many women have been conditioned to chase excitement, instant chemistry, or a very specific image they have in their heads, while ignoring the qualities that actually sustain a marriage. The ironic part is that she says she's dating for marriage, wants 4 kids, talks about serious values, but when she meets a man who clearly behaves like a potential husband, her first instinct is almost to find a reason not to like him. Only later does she start reconsidering, and this happens a lot today. Women say they want stability, respect, and commitment, but they've been conditioned to feel attracted to something completely different. So when a decent, respectful, stable man shows up, he suddenly feels weird or not her type. The truth is, for a woman who truly wants family and a long-term relationship, character, mindset, and intention should matter far more than some idea of a type, because charm fades and looks change, but character and values are what hold a relationship together for a lifetime. This man seems to understand that much better than she does, and ironically, that's probably exactly why he has far more value than many of the men she would normally call her type.